Hey, U9s, welcome to Thursday's session. Today we're going to take a look at understanding two-step experiments. So this will take us to double. Two-step experiments basically means when you do something twice. Okay, so usually we use an array table to go and create all the possible outcomes, and what it does is it shows us all the sample spaces along with the outcomes. All right, so on the left here, we've got with replacement. So if we had 3 letters in a bag and we picked out a letter C, with replacement means before we pick out the second letter, we put that first pick back in the bag. All right, so then when you draw a letter out on the first pick, you could get the letter C, and then you put it back in on the second pick. You can also get the letter C, and that's how we end up with this top left sample space of C and C. All right, and then there's 9 total outcomes that you can get or draw out of the bag after 2 picks. And same goes with without replacement. Now, the difference is when you take out the first letter, without replacement means you don't put that letter back into the bag. So if there was C, A, and T, or letters C, A, and T in the bag, and you were to take the C out first, then when you don't put that C back in the bag, well, on the second pick, you can't get that C again, can you? No. So that's why we've got crosses here along in the diagonals, because if you take an A out on the first pick, the letter A is not in the bag anymore. So on the second pick, without replacement, you can't take the letter A out again. Hopefully that makes sense. And we're going to put it into practice in the examples. So the first one is 2 coins are tossed. Okay, what we need to do is we need to draw a table to list the sample space. A little bit time consuming, but we'll do it nice and quick now. So on a coin, you've got first tossed. We'll put that as a heading on the overhead, and then we've got second toss. And so on the first toss, what you can get is you can get heads or you can get tails. On the second toss, you can also get heads and you can also get tails. So what we do now is we draw our table like so. And disregard this bit. So the sample space is basically going to be heads on the first toss, heads on the second toss, tails on the first toss, heads on the second toss, or heads on the first toss, tails on the second toss, or tails on both tosses. Okay, so so what you'll find is it just lists the total possible outcomes, and that's all you have to do. Right, moving on. Find the possibility of obtaining a heads and then a tails. So when we get these sample space specific outcomes where it says heads first and then tails second, the order of heads and then tails matters. So we've got 4 outcomes in total. We've got one of them that's heads or tails. Oh, sorry, heads and then tails. So that means we have a 1 in 4 chance of obtaining a heads and then a tails. All right, this one here is tails and heads, so that doesn't fit the order. Now, part C says, find the probability of getting at least 1 head. Sorry, just 1 head. So doesn't matter which order. So we've got just 1 head in this bottom left box and then just 1 head in the top right box. So here we have 2 out of 4 chances, which equals 1/2. Okay, so hopefully that's making sense. And that's all 2-steps experiments are. It's just doing something twice. Here we've got a word, the word data. Oh, lost the cursor. got the word data. All right, so 2 letters are chosen at random. So we've got first pick. And then we've got second pick. The letters are D, A, T, A, yeah, D, A, T, and A. Right. Oh. Okay, so the key here is, this line's really bothering me. Let's just try and neaten it up. All right. So it says without replacement. What that means is when we take out the first letter, we don't put that letter back into the bag, so we can't really get it twice in a row. Okay, so if we were to draw out a D, there's no D's left back in the bag, so we can't get that ever again. When we draw out one of the A's, okay, that A won't be in the bag anymore. But you still can get the opposite A. So that's why we've still got the possibility of A and A here, okay? When you draw out a T and you don't put it back in, on the second pick, there's no T's left in the bag, all right? So that's why we got to put a cross in the diagonals first, okay? So you always put a cross in the diagonals first whenever you see without replacement, top left to bottom right. After that, well, if you get an A on the first pick, you get a D on the second pick. That's the sample space of that. If you were to get a T and then a D, TD, here we've got AD, DA. So notice how it's always the first pick's letter and then the second pick's. Okay, the order does matter. TA, DT, AT, AT. And then you've got DA, AA, and then TA. So find the probability that the 2 letters chosen are both A. Well, how many do we have in total first? We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. We've got a possibility of 12 total outcomes. 2 letters that are chosen are both A. Well, we've got 1 and 2. So 2 of the sample spaces out of the 12 possible gets us 1/6. You can leave it as 2 on 12 if you like. You can simplify it if you like. Both are acceptable. Yeah, the textbook will always go with a simplified. C, find the probability that at least one of the letters is an A. Wow, remember we've got 12 outcomes in total. How many's got at least an A? Well, you've got 1 here, 2 here, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You've got 10 other sample spaces out of the 12 possible outcomes. So that means you've got 5 out of 6 chance, or 10/12. Either will do. And that's literally it. So in our textbooks, let's have a go at questions 1 all the way through to 6. 1 to 6. All right. Thanks, Year 9s.